So if you've been watching the new anime Gundam G-Quux and you play SD Gundam G Generation Eternal, then you're probably aware that we were gifted another SSR pilot in related to that anime. What's up everybody, Fortexfiend here. Welcome back to another video on SD Gundam G Generation Eternal. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at that SSR pilot that we were gifted a day ago and see how she is and also what kind of mobile suits you can use with her in combat. So let's go ahead and jump right into some gameplay here. So here are my pilots, and we are going to go ahead and take a look at this SSR attacker pilot from Gundam G-Quux, which is SHIIKO Sugai. Now, no spoilers, but this character does have some popularity. I highly encourage you guys to watch the anime because I ain't spoiling anything for you, but this is the character that they gifted us. So we have yet another SSR pilot that we got for free, which is fantastic. We're going to take a look at her skills here. So her skills are high speed 1 and attack burst 3. These are great, gives her extra movement and also gives her a little bit more attack when she attacks during that turn. So this is fantastic because she is an offensive unit. So if you want to use this pilot, be sure to really maximize what she's able to do. And then afterwards, her abilities or her passives are increased damage dealt. Fantastic. Increased melee. So this pilot is specializing in melee type combat. And then her affinity is EFSF UC level 2. So whenever she pilots a unit from that specified series, her damage dealt with her weapons increases by 10%, and she also gets an increase in mobility by 10%. Now that is pretty cool. However, when it comes to the mobile suits that you could pair her up with, unfortunately, there's not too many that really shine with her kit. There's like 3 that I can think of, and we'll go over it soon after I talk about one more thing with SHIIKO, but there's like 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, and I'll give you those examples. Now, one of the things that I really love about this particular SSR that is for free is that her melee stat when she's at max level compared to all of the other attacking SSR pilots ranks number 3. She has the third highest melee stat compared to all of the SSR attacking pilots. The only 2 that surpass her are actually the Gacha SSR pilots, which are Dozel and Edward. But she has the third highest, and it goes up to 686 with her passive, which that's pretty impressive if you ask me. So that is something that I wanted to highlight when it comes to this character. So she's all about melee combat or specializes in that. Now, when it comes to the mobile suits, her tag is a little tricky to work with because you want to find one that is of that particular tag, which is the EFSF UC, which is right over here. And we're also going to take a look at the attacking type units. So first off, if you want to use her with a UR mobile suit, arguably her best match is going to be Striker Custom. And the reason why is if you take a look at Striker Custom's weapon list, melee, 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 oops, and right over here is range melee awakened, but it still has melee. So if you want to put her in a UR mobile suit just to have some fun, this is probably going to be the one that you're going to want to use. But obviously, you're going to be using this with a UR attacking pilot if you're going to be tackling some of the harder content. But if you want to have fun, this is probably the best suit that she could pilot. Now, if you're looking for something a bit more free-to-play friendly where you don't have to pull on the gacha, really the only one that I found, sadly, is this thing, which is the G3 Gundam. And if you take a look at its weapons list, it has Beam Saber, which is melee. It also has Beam Javelin, which is melee. But then, unfortunately, its best skill is Hyper Bazooka, which is range. So, free-to-play wise, development wise, this is probably the best one that you could use with SHIIKO. Now, if you're opting for more like Gacha SSRs, or if you get lucky to pull these, the first recommendation would be the Blue Destiny right over here, Unit 1. The Blue Destiny 1 has Beam Saber, which is melee. Its hardest hitting skill is Exam System, or EXAM, however you call it, is ranged and melee. And this one has an effect where the higher your HP, the greater the weapon power, up to a 5% increase. So this is probably her best option. Its other 2 weapons are going to be ranged, but most of the time, if you're going to be using this with SHIIKO, you're going to be using either Beam Saber or Exam. The only problem is that look at its terrain. It can only function on the ground and underwater. So unfortunately, it is heavily terrain locked, but in terms of her kit and matching her with a suit that works best with her, probably going to be this one. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't even have space combat, which a lot of mobile suits tend to have. Now, if you want a more balanced option, I would definitely go with S Gundam. Again, this is a gacha unit, so if you don't have this, you might have to opt for something else like the G3 that I showed earlier. But the reason why I chose S Gundam is because Beam Saber is melee, which is good. And then afterwards, its hardest hitting skill is going to be Alice. Alice is also melee and range, and this one has the increased critical damage by 10% and also has a power of 4500. And if you upgrade it all the way up to level 5, we'll just take a look at it here. It goes all the way to 5175. So in terms of like a gacha SSR, this is probably another good option for her. And also it has space combat, so at least you can use it in a majority of different stages. So that's going to be the ones that you want to match her up with. Now, there is one more mobile suit that I want to highlight. If you're going to be using SHIIKO as your pilot, we're going to go ahead and turn off my filters here so I can show you which one I'm talking about. The one that I'm talking about is actually going to be from Gundam Wing, and it's going to be Epyon. And now you're going to ask me, wait, 40, but Gundam Epyon doesn't have that particular tag. I am aware of that, and it is unfortunate, but you will be missing out on her final ability. However, if you take a look at Epyon's skills, Beam Sword is melee, Heat Rod is melee, and Beam Sword max power is also melee. So all three of its weapons list will fit in very well with SHIIKO. The only thing you're going to be missing out on is that third ability if you're going to be opting to use Epyon with that pilot. But that's going to go ahead and conclude the mobile suits you can use with this free SSR pilot. Again, it's really awesome that they gift us these pilots, just to celebrate the release of the anime Gundam G-Quux. I really think it gives us free-to-play players some options, or those of you that have a free-to-play or light spending account. Then that way you're not always trying to wail on the gacha, trying to see what you could get, and you actually have some options that you could use for some of the other stages. This is going to go ahead and conclude the video for this free SSR pilot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Which mobile suits have you been trying her with? Are they listed in the ones that I've mentioned, or have you tried other ones with her? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts, strategies, and also tips as well to help other players. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and stay blessed, everybody.